Good afternoon. My name is Chris Adam with Youth Pledge for Employers, and I'm delighted to be joined by Claire Holmes, the owner and director of Ipswich Doggy Daycare. Hello, Claire.
Hello there.
Hello. Thanks for giving up your time this afternoon. I know a lot of people will probably be very happy to look at this particular video because, so it's got one of those jobs which we all suddenly think to ourselves, oh, wow, I really want to do that. But, please, in sort of summary, tell us a little bit about what you do on a daily basis at Ipswich Doggy Daycare.
Yeah, so we are obviously Ipswich Dog Daycare. We are predominantly doggy daycare business. We do offer other services here now. We do grooming, dog grooming in a pet salon. We do puppy training. We've also got pet photography here and a nice little boutique shop. So we offer quite a lot of services, but I suppose the main one is the dog daycare. So
that's absolutely brilliant. And again, I could just imagine that anyone at home or anyone watching this who just loves their dog probably instantly thinks like, oh my god, this is a job I could sort of definitely do, and something that I would definitely love to do. So from your perspective, what are the biggest rewards of of what you do, and what are the biggest challenges?
Yeah, so doggy daycare, it is what it says on the tin. It's predominantly looking after dogs from like when kids get dropped off at school. So the dogs get dropped off here in the morning, the owners go to work or go about their daily business, and they're here all day. And it's in essence, you're looking after someone's valuable property, you're looking after someone's baby. We love what we do, but it's a tough job. We get all different types of dogs that come to us, all different ages. We're one of the few creches that accept all breeds, so we're fully insured for all the breeds out there. It's a full day, so a standard day in daycare really. It starts off with a bit of a hectic morning when all the furry kids come to school. They go into our creche, and they will meet their friends and play with other dogs and play with balls and play with toys. And we have a fully staffed professional team out there that are all qualified and fully qualified in canine first aid and all the rest of it, look after these dogs. And they will play all morning on and off throughout the day. And then we'll get to lunchtime, and they'll have a little break for lunches. Lunches are sort of fed separately, so we don't have any squabbles who's got the favourite snacks and the good stuff. So dogs are all fed individually. That takes quite a while to do that. And then in the afternoon we have sort of a bit of quiet time, chill down. We dim the lights sometimes, sit down, have a cuddle with them, let them have a rest. And then we'll do things like canine enrichment and stuff in the afternoon. So that's can be anything from a bit of agility to treat games, snuffle mats, finding things, hide the treats, that kind of thing, using their brains and getting them to tie their little brains out a little bit. And then we slow it right down until sort of 4 o'clock onwards, when the owners start to pick them back up again. So they go home tired, but they go home happy. And everybody comments how much they love it when they've been to creche and they go home of an evening, the dogs are quiet and they're exhausted, and they get a nice quiet night watching Coronation Street and chill out because the dog's had a good day. So we do it every day, Monday to Friday. The routine is exactly the same, so it doesn't matter what day they come, they will get the same routine. But yeah, different dogs come different days, and but it's all part of an education as well for them. It's really important. But like you say about the bad thing, the good things is obviously the puppies is great. Puppies are lovely. Everyone loves to see the puppies. And we have a lot of dogs that come to us from a really, really early age. And we do recommend that the sooner the better, really, because it's all part of their learning, part of their development. It's very important. So getting the puppies in is great, but puppies are like young children. They can be hard work. They think they know best all the time, and they want to run around, and you want to tell them to sit down and be quiet for a bit, and they don't want to be. So a lot of puppy play, and watching a dog's development is really interesting, because we've got dogs here. We've been here for 5 years now. So I've got dogs that come to creche still that came to me 5 years ago. And they're still with me now, which is just amazing. So getting to see that dog's development over the years, how it's progressed through its first 5 years of its life, that's a really awesome side of it. And doing the training. The downside, unfortunately, is animals are animals, and what must go in has to come out. So
Yes.
I always warn people that you know, it might be fun playing with the dogs and throwing the tennis balls around and cuddling the puppies, but unfortunately, there's an awful lot of cleaning involved with any animal, whether you go and work with horses or dogs or guinea pigs or whatever it may be. You have to clean up after them. And in our creche, we have a license with the council to have up to 40 dogs a day. So we've got a very, very big space in there. It's all done on square footage, how many dogs you're allowed and how big the building is. But you can imagine 40 dogs all running in there in the morning. All of them want to go to the toilet, and lots of them want to go to the toilet at the same time. So you've got to be handy with the poo bags, is all I can say. So,
no, fair enough. And I appreciate, as you say, highlighting the side that we all think, playing with the puppies is really, really nice. And as you say, you know, and you know, being surrounded by, I say, cute dogs. But as you say, there is that dirty side to the job as well, which I say it's really good that people are aware of.
It's hard work. It's hard work as well. It's physical, you know. And I think, you know, anybody can give it a go. Don't get me wrong. We have people of all abilities that come and work with us. But it's quite a physical job. So, you know, if you're running around looking after dogs, although you're on your feet for a lot of the time, you do get your breaks, obviously, you're entitled to your breaks. But for the first 2 or 3 hours in the morning, it's hectic. So it can be quite physical. So you've got to consider that side of it as well. It's not just sitting down holding a dog all day. It's entertaining that dog, cleaning up after that dog, you know, running around after that dog, you know. And it's not just one dog, it's 40 dogs in my creche. So it can be quite tough sometimes. Yeah.
You touched a bit on the team you work with. Obviously, some members of your team will have done some specialist training, those kind of things. But if we take away the training, what sort of skills and qualities do the members of your team have that make them good for the job, if you see what I mean?
Yeah, I think I've had a lot of students that have come through me, apprentices, work experience from college, that kind of thing. One of the main things we always look for is, you know, it's common sense, you know, having an element of common sense, because at the end of the day, you are dealing with live animals. And what I try and get across to people is, when this dog is at home and it's in its home environment with its owner, at home with the kids and on the sofa and doing what the dog does at home, and it's a pet, it will behave very, very differently to how it behaves in a creche with 39 other dogs. Because in essence, it becomes a pack. You know, that is a large pack in there. So if the pack is getting along and it's playing nicely and everything's great, then that's great. But if something happens, like, I don't know, a couple of dogs have a squabble over a ball or something silly like that, you know, you've got to have the common sense there to deal with that. Everybody's trained how to deal with things, obviously, properly. But, you know, having common sense is really, really important, and being able to listen and take instruction. So constructive criticism is always there for your safety more than anything. And you have to be able to take on board what the managers are telling you, you know, so you have to have, you know, you have to be able to listen and take that on board. So common sense and being able to listen, really important.
No, it's really interesting, and it's only when you're sort of describing like that, and as you say, that at the root of it all, once you get past all the cuteness and fluffiness, I say this is still a pack of animals. And as you say, to be honest, like, people, and especially in Britain, we've probably never put more value on our dogs ever, especially after lockdown. And, you know, a lot of us, obviously, a lot of people got lots of dogs then as well, obviously for the comfort and happiness they bring us. So are you actually finding that maybe the customers you're dealing with are sort of, as I say, more more focused on their dogs and their welfare than ever?
Yeah, I think they are, and I think rightly so. I think we've become a nation. They say we're supposed to be a nation of dog lovers, and we love our pets more than anything. And, you know, during COVID, everybody went out and got a puppy because they thought, well, now's the time because I'm at home. We'll have the puppy at home, and in essence, that makes sense. But unfortunately, now people have started to go back to work. They've realised actually that puppy's never been away from them. So it's never really had any, you know, or much socialization, particularly at the beginning of their life when they were puppies. So coming to a daycare setting sometimes can be really helpful for the puppy because it gets to come away from the owner, for starters. So a bit of separation anxiety, can be dealt with, meets to, learns and plays with other dogs. But yeah, welfare is really important. But yeah, I think not enough was done during COVID, unfortunately, for all these puppies that were scooped up by the nation, kept in cotton wool for about a year, unfortunately, because it was the situation we were in.
No, I completely understand that. And you touched on it a little bit earlier about, as I say, that when maybe sort of conflict does happen between the dogs or something happens, you say that the people in your team have received sort of training, those kind of things. What kind, if someone comes in to you, as I say, maybe a student from college or something like that, sort of works their way through, what kind of things do they get trained in?
So a lot of our students, they do an apprenticeship. And they go through a course with a company that we work closely with called Keats. There's other apprenticeship providers available, obviously. Yeah. But the apprenticeship provider will guide them through what is normally an 18-month course. If you take your basic animal welfare and animal management course, like a level 2, we will take them on as a student. They will work with us for 3 days a week. So they are hands-on in the job 3 days a week. And then the apprenticeship provider comes out to see them while they're here, runs through various stuff. They have to do coursework, obviously, at home, online. And yeah, they learn every single aspect there is to learn about looking. I mean, if you're looking in a daycare setting, you're obviously focusing just on canines and dogs. So they will learn everything there is to know about a dog with the behaviour, the welfare side of it, looking after it properly, caring for it properly, and everything that's necessary there. And eventually, at the end of it, they will get a level 2 MVQ or whatever qualification at the end of it, and they can progress to level 3 if that's what they wish to do. Yeah.
No, brilliant, and thanks for touching over that route there, and I say the different ways people can get into, say, this kind of profession. And on that, I'm not saying that one day you didn't sort of, I'm not saying you always have wanted to, to be like, when you were a child, you were like, I want to run a doggy daycare someday. I'm not saying that's what you want to do ever since you were a child. So I'm just wondering if you could talk me through a little bit about sort of your career journey and how you came to sort of be where you are, really.
Yeah, so I was always an animal lover. I think most young girls and you grow up. I always had guinea pigs and rabbits and dogs and horses when I was young. So I was always into animals from an early age, like that in that way. Grew up, in Yorkshire with dogs and walking over the Yorkshire Dales with my border collies and all the rest of it. So dogs always featured quite heavily. When I was younger, I actually worked with horses for about 7 years and qualified as a horse riding instructor and went down the sort of equestrian route. And then I came away from that and went into just, a normal job, as you do, pay the mortgage and pay the bills for about 20 years. And then one day I got made redundant from a job in shipping. And I actually thought, I've done this for 25 years now. I don't know is this what I want to do? Or, you have one of those light bulb, you've been made redundant. Is it what I want to do? And, I started looking at other options. And because I'd always enjoyed working with animals when I was younger, I considered that as an option. And doggy daycare sort of got mentioned to me and came up. And yeah, the rest is history. We're kind of here and we're doing it and getting on with it. So yeah.
That's amazing, and like a really sort of nice story of, as I say, how you've had that light bulb moment. You were like, what, actually, this is what I want to do. And how did you find the transition going from, as I say, doing more of a normal job and that kind of thing to actually being the owner and running your own business? Because assuming you had to, I'm assuming you had to learn all kinds of new things to, suddenly say now you're making sure people being paid and HR things and all those kind of things.
Yeah, I think with any business, no matter what, anybody decides to set a business up, it's going to be tough. And you're not going to have, going from having a good regular monthly salary and, I was on, okay money by the time I'd reached, my early 40s. And I thought, I'm giving up decent money here or reliable income, shall we say, to who knows where the next paycheck is coming from. But we'd set aside some money, we'd saved a bit of money, and, it's kind of now or never. But actually going from, my job was predominantly office-based, computer every day. You come in, you log on, you sit there for 8 hours and you go home. This is a physical job. And certainly for me, for the first 2 or 3 years, setting it up getting it going, getting it off the ground. We were initially a franchise, and then we became independent, and it was just, all of it was tough, because you've got to keep going, you've got to keep doing your marketing, you've got to keep doing your advertising, you've got to let people know you're here.
Yeah.
You know, and you do think, you know, we're never going to get there, we're never going to break through, and then eventually you get like your repeat bookings, and you get somebody ring up and say, oh, my friend brings her dog to you and she's recommended you, and the word of mouth starts to slowly gather muster, and you think, well, actually, you know, but you got to keep going. There's good days, there's bad days, there's days when you go home nearly in tears thinking, I can't do this. You know, but then you get up and you get on again, because you don't have a choice half the time. You got to keep going. And I think you've got to remind yourself quite heavily why you did do it in the first place. Why did you choose to be your own boss or follow your dream, or, you know? And I had to do that a lot. You know, my husband is actually disabled, and it was him that said, you need to go and do something for you. You've looked after me for a number of years, and, you know, you got made redundant. Go out there and do what you need to do. So that's why we kept going. I'm glad we did.
That's amazing, and there's some lovely like pieces of advice there, and you've almost beaten to me to what my final question is. And I've asked this to every employer I've spoken to, which is, based on the career journey you've just told me about and sort of everything you've learned, if you could go back and sort of speak to, say, 17, 18-year-old Claire, you know, about to go out on your sort of career journey, everything, and you could give yourself one piece. A lot of
things I could say.
Trust me, you're not the only person to say that. I definitely know there's things I'd want to say to my younger self that I probably can't repeat in polite conversation. But if you could give yourself one piece of career advice to your younger self, what would that be? Oh,
Christ, and keep it clean. I mean, I've never been a quitter. I am a Yorkshire girl at heart, and us Northerners don't give up lightly. But it sounds very cliche to say follow your dream. Following your dream can be a very, very tough path to follow at times. But I would say you get there in the end. But I think, you know, just keep going. Don't quit. You know, I'm no quitter.
I think that's a brilliant note to end on, and thank you for your time this afternoon, Claire.
No, you're very, very welcome. And if you need any more chats, more than welcome.